Okay, we're in now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Lewisboro Town Board meeting for July 28th, 2025. For those in the room, the exits are towards the front and towards the rear of the building. We're going to start with the work session, and then we'll go into the town board meeting. Work session, just to explain, is where we discuss a topic, and the topic today is town facilities, and we're going to discuss it amongst the board. And then we'll jump into the regular meeting agenda. So now, if you will, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll start with our work session. I know you had invited folks from the task force.
I told them to either try to tune in and
Okay,
watch or
okay,
come in person.
right, okay,
So some people had conflicts, some people will watch later.
okay,
Um,
okay, good. I know Kevin's here, so if there's any, I don't know if anyone else, but we can always ask if we need to get them to raise their hands or want their attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, well, first let me preface. So the town agreed to, the town board agreed to purchase a building across the river for town offices. And this is, the immediate need was, we're going to have to leave the LES facility that we've been renting. The town has been renting property between Orchard Square and LES since 2012. So we're slowly moving away from that. And the first step was to acquire the building that's in Cross River near Cameron's. And so the first step will be to move the LES offices into that building. And then in terms of the other offices that are at LES, we have the Port and PD, and we're going to discuss that here in terms of some of the ideas. We have a task force that was put together by the town board, made up of residents with different expertise in the area of planning, facilities management, architecture, et cetera. And they've been providing input to the town board. So we're going to continue to utilize that task force for any future decisions and recommendations that we may be considering. So I'm going to start with, an initial, and again, these are concepts and ideas. Let's put this up on the screen. And it's a discussion here with the town board that we will review, consider, and of course that we're going to have to hire professionals. We're going to have to hire architects to this. Here we go.
Can I just, is there a way if I was scratching down some notes, I went through the comprehensive plan, just like the frame thing, but bigger before we get into I was reviewing the updated comprehensive plan, which the board unanimously adopted after years of work. And we're looking at different components of it and the goals that were in that. There's an economic development goal 4 to provide an environment that fosters the expansion of local business opportunities within Lewisboro, to provide long-term economic stability and diversity to the community in keeping with the general community environment. Goals 4.5 talks about to explore working with business owners to create attractive built environment that will enhance opportunities for new and current businesses. So just taking a look at that made me kind of bring home that a centralized town campus concept in the Hamlet Center, whether it be in Cross River or South Salem, the most logical and feasible locations, will serve to further these important economic development goals for Lewisboro. And so just wanted to keep framing for any naysayers here. We shouldn't summarily reject what the great work that the steering committee and the comprehensive plan put together, and we shouldn't put this aside because it's hard. I was thinking about JFK, we should do something, when it's hard, from 1962, or choose to go to the moon. So and even though this would be difficult as far as the centralized town concept, And it would take some years to do, and it would take a lot of expense, including, in all probability, presenting it to the taxpayers by way of a permissive referendum to see if we have buy-in from the community, which ultimately they should make that decision. I think it's a worthwhile path and worthwhile endeavor in furthering these goals, economic goals of the of what the comprehensive plan had in its adoption. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's whatever, we can align with the comprehensive plan when we think of the future of, the town offices, town campus, et cetera. Yeah, we should definitely try to align with what's in the comprehensive plan.
Something else, just
Sure.
Lewisboro, aside from this building, right, and Onachoo, we don't have a lot of what some of the other towns have, right? We don't have a nice courthouse, we don't have a centralized town building that everybody knows, so that's the townhouse where everything is, right? We've been moving around for years in temporary facilities, wherever, so it would be really nice for us to get to the point where we have that center place, the permanent home for everything, that everyone knows where it is, it's centrally located, it's not all the way on one end of town or all the way on the other end of town, although satellite offices would be very nice. For some things, so the steering committee was put together to consider and look at several pieces of property, some of which were for purchase, some of which were rental, to accommodate the relocation of not only the town offices, but also the court and the police station. And I know you've spoken a few times with the school district, I've attended at least 2 meetings with the school district, to better understand what their,
Task force.
the task force. To get a better idea of the timing on all this, and the task force was aware of what we needed to move, approximately how much space we needed, and when they looked at all the property, they made certain recommendations of what was available at the time. There were certain things or ideas that were not presented to them at that time, that could have been potential options for them to take into consideration, alternative locations for the town offices and for the court or police station. So their recommendations were based on what was presented to them at the time. And with the idea that it was my understanding that they believe that a centralized town campus in Cross River would be a nice goal to have. Not that that was necessarily going to be the case, but that would be a nice thing to have, and they made recommendations that were in line with that idea. And that's why we do this. So some things are the same, and some things have changed a little because now there's other options on the table, or other ideas, I should say, on the table that we're considering. But the other option of having a place for the town court and the police station to go closer to the building that we've committed to buy is still one of those options. So just so they
Okay.
know.
Right, so this is, so 20 or so years ago, the town looked at.
Did you want to share that?
Oh,
or no?
yeah,
Okay.
sorry, yeah, sure. Thank you. We should the screen. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so about 20 years ago, the town had engaged various firms to come up with some concepts of where of this town campus idea, and this was one of them. And this basically has, the library, and it says there including proposed additions. So this was before the new library was built. It has the town offices, which is this.
The library was expanded by 33%.
Correct, so that, yeah. So whether this is the exact same footprint, I'm not sure, but still, that's what the library location. This is the existing townhouse. And here there was a proposal for town offices, so expanding the townhouse to include additional town offices. This is the highway garage, which was then proposed to be a police department. And the highway garage would move over to the Salt Dome on Spring Street. And a proposed court. And the required parking. They even had additional parking here for 110 plus cars in that open lot that we have to the side.
Do you know what total, I don't know if anybody's ever framed it that way, I know because we have a fair amount of property, do you have an idea about what our total property is that we?
Yeah, acreage wise, I don't, I have electronically, but. Basically, this has it.
Because I don't know if people realize we have a fair amount of
Yeah, we-
distance on the side and back.
I have this is file here.
It's probably that sewage field.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to look at it, but basically it's where, if I go back to. Dan said the sewage field here. So this area here, this is the barn. The existing highway barn. Which is, if you look on this, folks at home can't see this, but basically on this photo, that's the barn. And then there's this wooded area. And that wooded area is where they had a proposed sewer or fields, so these septic
Is there
systems.
like a ratio in engineering and development wise, like X number of parking spaces equals a certain amount of property, like 100 spaces in the parking lot equals something, is there any kind of ratio in that?
There's a ratio of parking spaces to people.
X,
So
or,
people,
no,
yeah.
or acreage amount of land, like 100 spaces equals an acre or something.
Yeah, I know there's some guidelines, I don't know what they are, but there are, yeah.
Generally, the concept was that we built a town campus on this property that would include everything except
Highway,
Parks and Rec and highway,
correct,
right? And it was a very big project that would have taken years to do, but they put a lot of
Right.
thought into it. And there was a lot of drawings, there was a competition, it was a very nice idea. It just never came to fruition. For various reasons, and again, going over what the reasons were at this point in time. Doesn't help us solve the problem that's right in front of us, right? So one idea is to make. And correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
the best use of this property. And decide what offices or facilities could or should be here or remain here. And the new building that we committed to buy in Cross River, and the idea of. Having it split between the two locations, or trying our best to keep everything in one location. Right, that's basically the idea. And there's a lot to be said, there's lots of pros for having a town campus, including everything. And there are also cons, which is really money.
well, and that's probably why this never got off the
Money.
ground, because it's time and money you have between design and then, of course. By the time you get construction drawings in place and you shovel in the ground, you're talking 3 years at
Right.
least, maybe.
So I guess.
And it's a big project, right? To do it all at once, right? So. Not to say it's not doable, but it's, it means putting out a
It's not
bond, that's, yeah,
But the other property with all the town offices there and adding a police station and a board is also doable. But it's gonna take time and it's
Right.
gonna take money. So the
Right.
question, I guess, for us is, where do we want to be?
Mhm.
And how much time are we willing to spend on this, and how much money is the community going to be okay with us moving
Right.
forward to spend, right?
Mhm.
And it seems, based on my conversations, there's many people in the community with lots of different opinions. But one of the things that we have to take into consideration now is time. Because whereas when this was done, they had all the time in the world, we don't have all that much time, because we have, unless we put everyone into trailers for the next, I don't know how many years. We don't have that much time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you
So-
had an idea, Tony, right?
So we have, yeah, so let me just touch on couple of things you said. So in terms of the cost element and how much the taxpayer would have to, how much of a burden it would be to the taxpayer. When you look at construction, there's like three major buckets, right? It's if you can buy something already built that suits your needs, that's the least expensive way to go. The second is use property that you have that can be renovated, and that's, the next, right? And the third most expensive is where you start from scratch and you're building ground up.
The third
Right.
idea, that is the most expensive,
Yeah, that's the most expensive, correct? Right.
just clarifying. that.
Yeah. So, so we have, so we need to think about like the temporary space you mentioned for court and PD potentially, right? If push comes to shove and we need, I mean, PD are in a temporary space now, right? Space that was supposed to be temporary to the school district 30 years ago, and it's still in use. And they've been in that building, and can they continue staying there for the time being until we figure out the proper facility for them? We don't know. But
No,
if they,
but the school did tell us that with regard to the police facilities,
Mhm.
that's where we, the town, have the most flexibility
Mhm.
of time, since it's not part of the permanent structure of the
Correct.
elementary school. So, not that that's fabulous, but at least that's the least of the school district's worry.
It's
That they
li-
could stay there the longest out of all
Right.
the offices. But the remainder of the offices in the court are more of their concern because it's in the main part of the building that they want to shut down.
Right, exactly. But that's what I mean about we don't know how much time that is, right? The school, I mean, we're gonna find out more at the next meeting. With the school district, but yeah, I think it'll allow us to stay there until we figure out exactly where the PD are gonna go, or if they want us to move out sooner than later, then we have to accommodate them somewhere. And that was the thought about, okay, looking at existing facilities, where can we accommodate PD? And one of the options is here at the townhouse, right? So we moved townhouse offices to the building across river, frees up this building for PD, and it has the parking that they need, right? We're short on parking at the other building. But this is one option, right?
So then that would only leave us with where does the court go
Correct.
until a permanent structure
Right.
is.
Right, so
Yes.
one of the thoughts is, do we want to bump out the townhouse, like it shows here for prospective town offices? Bump out the back, bump out the side, this could be part of a courtroom, bump out this wall. And but this is where you need to engage an architect to do a feasibility analysis. And I actually was talking to somebody in town who has municipal planning experience and design. And he actually, I reached out to him, and it's Tadeus Rajwar, T for short, call. So he actually said, I'll draw something up for you. So I'll show you what he came up with. In fact, let me just. put
But of
this
course,
here.
if we did this, we'd have to go out to bid
Oh, of course, yeah,
for
for the design work and then,
architectural services.
right, for the engineering and. Just stop share there.
Just while you're searching, just two concepts I want to add to the discussion. First, that as far as the timing, I think we spoke to ALSD about our, what plans we're talking about. I think that might be an opportunity for some flexibility as far as timing. We have a specific plan. Something I would think could be a minimum source for discussion. Because as I understand it, there's no specific timetable that ALSD has to do anything referable to what they want next. There's no specific legal timetable, it's just what their preferences, so there may be some flexibility there.
What I've understood, they are looking forward to us vacating the property sooner than later. And the other concern in this discussion is providing the employees of the town of Lewisboro a safe and warm and dry place to work. And
Yeah, but that's.
Lewisboro, the building formerly known as Lewisboro Elementary, has not always been that.
No, but I'm saying as far as, the first part we're talking about, we're talking about after, beyond it. So the second concept is that we should definitely be exploring the possibility for public-private partnerships referable to any town campus concept. And it's a realistic possibility because just in the last month or so, Briarcliff signed a deal, a $55 million deal, where they're extending the downtown as well as building residences, which will certainly help for a place like this for people who want to have a downsizing opportunity, which is virtually non-existent here. And also as part of that project, they're building a new police station and a new court. That's part of what the developer is doing just down the road in Briarcliff in a deal that was signed in June.
I know Pelham did the same thing, but it took them years to get that deal off the ground. But it's doable, and you gotta have an exchange. You know, these developers want something in return, right? So in this case, for example, in Pelham, the developer got land that they put in a multi-story residential tower. And in exchange for that, they built a municipal center.
Right, and that's something we could, there's
Yeah.
opportunities for that we could explore as well.
Mhm.
I mean, there are places in town that we could
Right.
look at.
The question is, how much time are we? What is our vision as a town board? What is our vision based on our master plan, based on feedback we've been getting from the community? You know, we can't be the town whose offices are in trailers forever, right? Like, it's not that it's embarrassing, but it's just not a good look. It's a beautiful town. It needs a town office building. It needs something that looks nice. When you go to the neighboring towns, they all have their town offices, and it's just a nice thing to have for a town, and Lewisboro doesn't have that. We're always moving
Yeah.
around and intemperate. So the question is, we're now faced with the opportunity to make some decisions as to what that's gonna look like, and look like forever, not just temporary. And the question is, are we as a town board willing to say, okay, we're gonna take the time and plan a town campus, and the new building is gonna be a temporary facility, or are we gonna put the campus there and temporarily put police in the court somewhere here? Are we okay with not doing a town campus and doing it split, half the things there, well, not half, but a lot of stuff over there and only the police and court here? Are we thinking, well, we really want to do a town campus on the property that we own, which means we'll have to first deal with the highway department and getting it built and moved to the salt dome before we can even start anything on the property here? Like, this is our opportunity to have that conversation as to where we think this particular project should go, in what direction, and are we gonna be limited just to how much it's gonna cost, because these things are expensive, there's no way around it. So are we gonna look outside the box and say, oh, we wanna, do it all, and let's start the plan now, and if we have to go into trailers temporarily and pace it over time and get it done, not the right way, but a way that I would love to say, I always say, well, if we're gonna do something, let's do it the right way, but honestly and truly, I don't know what the right answer is here. There's so many options, and we have to decide in what direction we wanna move. We're, about ready to close on a building, and there are other things attached to it that have to be taken into consideration, and I'd rather not just leave everything kind of makeshift. I'd like to know what our goal is.
Well, that's why
What's
we're
our vision?
discussing, right? But you
Yeah.
gotta have professionals come in who are gonna do the feasibility analysis on the parcel that we're considering. Cause they have to look at, septic systems, they have to look at, there's a lot of different,
But
things
also-
that they.
If I could weigh in, just, this is not the cheapest option, but I would love to see, the police department out on the highway as opposed to in the.
You mean 35?
Yeah, no, not 684. Yeah, so,
Something
somewhere,
centrally.
yeah,
located.
somewhere along that strip there, they have quick access, and this is very valuable property here. And to Rich's point, perhaps you can imagine deals which say, like the highway garage is sitting on the most valuable piece of property that we have, completely wasted. Could that be housing? Or maybe it's a community center that we ask them to buy. Or
That would be a
like
good
that. Like,
idea.
That's exactly part of what I was thinking about for the public.
but it's the price tag is gonna
Yeah,
go up a bit, but we can, try to defer some of it with
So when and we discussed this before in terms of the PD being on the highway or close to the highway, we talked about the Spring Street, the commuter lot where the state police are now. You know, is that an option? Now, we had an initial visit with an architect who said it's gonna be challenging because of the wetlands and also the septic requirements.
Even if it was a knockdown.
Even if it was a knockdown, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you know, we're talking to the health department about septic systems and these advanced or enhanced treatment units, ETUs. And, you know, can they facilitate us using one of those where you don't require a large septic field, right? But this is where you need the pros to come in and do that feasibility analysis, because I think, yeah, now that would take time to build. And if we have to vacate PDA headquarters at LES, then we got to put them somewhere.
Yes.
But if we have time, you know, maybe we want to consider building a PD. And, you know, and then maybe court can be, you know, we could bump out this room and this becomes court, essentially. Again, it's just another idea.
Right, but now
But-
here we are about to buy a building and move offices. The question is, where was that part to? We can't just do one piece and not think about the rest of it. Like, I think we're at that point where we need to.
Sure.
Right.
But we have to do that one piece, we're gonna do that one piece, and the worst case, we decide. Oh my gosh, we're gonna go back to this town campus thing. And they're in there for a couple of years and we sell the building again, you know, which nobody wants to think about that, but you know, so we're still. You know, we still have maintained.
You don't wanna think about it, but it is,
It's like
it is a
we're not
possibility.
trapped. Yeah,
It just feels like all these years, it's all been conversation. Not one town board has been able to put together a plan for the permanent home for all of our.
But we're doing that.
And that's what we're trying to
But
do.
I still feel like it's
Fine.
almost piecemeal, like we get the building.
Yeah.
Right, we get the building and then we're just kind of patching it together. I guess I was hoping for more of a.
it's gonna feel
Well,
that
bigger
way.
vision.
You know, you're getting
No
a
matter what.
5,900 square foot building, which again, I've shared with the board, you know, building costs, depending on who you talk to, Pelham. It was $1,000 a square foot between soft costs and hard costs.
Recommendation of our task force. I have.
So 5,900, a
The-
5,900 square foot building would mean $5.9 million to get the same square footage. We got it for 2.2, right?
The other thing is that a public-private venture needs us to offer something to the developer. And frankly, we've got a lot of wetlands. We don't have a lot to offer as far as buildable land to any developer to help us out. So.
Unless we get that DEP land that's in Golden Bridge, which the DEP owns illegally, but.
Well, it's like, we have the property with the highway garage, on,
Allegedly.
right? That-
No, they do.
We've talked about other property that was in the process of potentially being donated to the town, which. well, we
Yeah,
know
that has,
is.
yeah,
You know, there's lots of things, I'm just.
but that can still come through, right, that other property.
We had the discussion about the building or back in January, February, and decided that, right, we had these conversations back then. And we had the conversation and said, okay, well, we're gonna be looking at the blue building, we'll just call it the blue building.
That's
The
right, building.
Cross River
office
building, that building and the adjacent property. One of the adjacent properties that we were talking about, and we said, okay, you know what, this seems like a really good idea. Why don't we pass a bond resolution that could potentially incorporate all of that? Then moving
It would
forward,
be different because of the EPU on the bond resolution, the. Speak stand for again, so. Period of, yeah, so on the building it's 15 years. On land, it's different. So it would be two bonds,
We'd have to,
two bond resolution, two bands, and then which you can then combine into a single bond down the road, but yes, and you can still do that.
if we had done it
You could still
months
do that.
ago, we would, you know, and we would have given ourselves the time to discuss and work through a lot of the issues that have come up now.
Yeah,
And we would have been in a better position to negotiate and purchase
We
the
didn't-
property
yeah.
that we felt necessary without feeling the pressure.
so we didn't have the full
Closing
picture
date
months ago,
of
but
the
that's in the
person.
past, so now we're here,
I
now we
understand.
move forward.
But now can we do the same planning from this point moving forward? What's the best way to do that? That's my point.
And
So-
that's what we're discussing, and you know,
So
I'm
to
not the
that end-
decision maker here.
No, but what's your
So
idea?
to
So
that end,
let me finish,
could
go
we-
through the presentation.
I mean, I'm seeing there's maybe gonna fall out of this, maybe like 5 or 6 permutations of the
Okay.
different pieces. What's to stop us from putting those on paper and then trying to get it, plus minus 30-40%,
Mhm.
estimates as to cost. Look at what are the obstacles and the pros and cons. and
Nothing's
start to
gonna
narrow it
stop us
down.
from doing it as
There
long
you
as
go.
we don't. Kick the can.
Well, we're not
Let's
doing that.
say,
What
like,
we're doing
let's
is
not postpone it anymore, let's really.
focusing on a comprehensive plan for our facilities and for our town employees.
Go ahead, Tony, you got a
Right.
presentation.
Yeah, so you saw the other presentation that was, yeah, or the other, that was 20 years ago. Is this the one that I'm sharing? Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Just wanna make sure yeah, so this is the one that Tadeus had put together, and he actually is here. Hi, T. And we talked about this, and again, so he came up with 3 different concepts. One is, you can use the existing highway garage. He calls it here new overbuild, where you can have the Justice Department and Police Department on top of it. And it's roughly, it says here, the existing highway department, current footprint is about 7,000 square feet, so it's a large building. And you could essentially put PD and the court above it. Highway can stay where they are. We wanted them to.
Actually, just from the number standpoint, so that's 7 times 3, that's 21,000. If I remember, the total square footage. The prior, from the competitions was approximately 20,000 square feet in total, ballpark as to what.
Ballpark, right, yeah,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
just putting it in square foot.
Yeah,
square
so
foot.
yeah, if you have 7,000 square feet and you double that space, you're talking 14,000 for library, I mean, for or MPD. So that's, and then, he's got here future departments, that's the property next door, or so that could be another building in the future, down the road.
Actually, it says eminent domain.
Great,
Could you just?
That's, yeah, we don't wanna.
We
Let's
don't
not
want to
even
do
have
that.
that discussion.
No,
Right.
not gonna happen. Not under my.
It has happened, but it's not a good thing to have.
No, it's not fun, it's not.
Say again, Greg?
Town.
These is just under 6 acres.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay,
5.997.
5.9, okay. Yeah.
Almost 6 acres is a good amount of land.
So the overbuild would be relatively quicker and cheaper than building a new building. And then all the buildings fronting Main Street are not affected. And there's minimal visibility disturbance to the wider community.
And the highway department would stay there? Or there was a.
In this, correct, it would stay there, yeah. Now, we would do some modifications like the garage openings would have to be made
Yeah,
higher.
some of our trucks don't fit, right?
Right, exactly. But that's an idea, so we could go to an architect with this and say, hey, what do you think of this? And draw up some plans, and show us some concepts, which then we could present at a town board meeting to the public, and get some feedback. The other option, this is the one where it's basically you have. And this is an option that I was
Could
talking
you put it up a
to,
little higher, please? Because
sorry,
the glare is.
there, yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the library here, oops, and this is the townhouse. So there's a bump out in the townhouse to better accommodate PD, so that's police. We're adding an additional 1,000 square feet. And in the middle, the blue, that would be a new Justice Department or court. One of my thoughts when I initially had mentioned this idea, and actually this came, I was talking to Kevin Kelly, our building inspector, and he's the one that actually said, I'll choose the space that's over here for a new structure. And it could be a connection to this building, or it could be separate. But if you did a 2-story structure, then you could have a community space, right? A large community space above court. But again, that's building new, if that's what we want to do, but that takes care of court and PD here. Now, again, Spring Street is still an option potentially for PD if we can get by the potential challenges of septic system,
But this is with,
this is with
so
PD.
okay,
So PD is,
no,
yeah,
no, no, it's
sorry.
PD and town offices, or just the building is
PD and
PD
the
and town
court.
offices
Town office is still over the, in
still
Cross
over
River.
there? So this would be
Correct,
PD with a bump out.
correct.
Anything else in this building aside from PD?
No.
On the septic, you just mentioned, I was just thinking about when with the library expansion, when the plans were done, was there any kind of septic analysis of, on the parcel when that was done?
On the existing? The
No, when the
existing-
library bump out, I'm saying, the library expansion was done.
I believe there was.
Maybe
I
something-
remember I was on the board when, but I wasn't on the renovation committee. And we did increase the library did increase it around 33% without changing the footprint, external footprint too much. Just a little bit in the front. But I don't remember where the septic fields are for
I'm just
the
wondering, if any
Yeah.
institutional knowledge septic wise in the parcel.
septic wise, no.
Yeah, and I guess when we built the library, we probably didn't have to change anything with regards to the septic system because you're not changing occupancy.
That's true.
So, I think. I don't know.
Per day.
That's,
Gallons per day
yeah,
measure. I don't know what the.
yeah,
There and what's what
right.
is.
But we can't
It's
build,
not-
It was never expanded, so
but the
yeah.
bottom line is we cannot build over septic field.
unless,
just,
unless you have.
We.
No, no,
we-
yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it's just worse.
Point out where the septic fields are, like in the top right hand corner, just information.
And what
Yeah.
we have,
So-
we have pipes going,
Yeah,
right, we've got a water main in the, now a water main that goes in
Oh,
the area, just
oh,
where the courthouse is in this particular rendering is proposed to be, so those are other
Correct.
issues.
Can I just note that it's a work session, we can invite people up
We-
to talk
we
to us
can,
if we
but
want to.
so let's,
we need to keep going, though. The problem is we've got a
Well, we could-
board
I
meeting
mean,
afterward.
yeah, we
So,
did about the task force, but, and the
Yeah.
person that drew this is here, but if you want to hear what he has to say, I could.
I
invite him
would
to
just
speak.
like to keep going.
Okay, so this scenario contemplates adding, like I said, it's and then there's a connection, a promenade. That connects, the library across to the front of
Okay.
from the post office across the library, the new building. The townhouse and this area here, let's keep a little, public meeting, yeah, town hall could be kept for, yeah. You still have, some public meeting space, landscaping, etc. So let me jump to the third idea, and this is, so here we have, instead of a building between the library and the townhouse, you just have a plaza. And then you have a court here. And again, PD still in here. And then the connection between the post office now to here.
I'm just pointing
Yeah,
on that lawn part, on the other side of
That's-
the entrance, right?
Yeah, so this is the driveway coming in right
Got
here, yeah. Now with these, we're getting rid of that driveway, that third driveway that goes
Yes.
all the way through, which we really don't need. But again, this is, yeah, the new building could accommodate just apartments on the landscaping paving. At a future stage, additional departments could be relocated back to the site in an overbuild of the highway department. So again, this goes back to the idea, okay, if we want to move everybody back, then you can build some additional office space on top of the highway garage.
The post office, who owns that? Is that federal?
It's federal, yeah.
Post office.
Yep.
The property.
Yeah, they're on their own home parcel. So that's that.
Interesting.
they're on their own parcel, but it's just possible to like make a deal with them where we build a building there, they have a post office on the bottom floor and then we have offices of club or something.
You wanna?
I don't know how that would work with federal government, I have to ask. Yeah.
Well, because in Cross River, they're not,
Fair
they're
enough.
big space. right?
You're right.
Commercial shopping
Yeah, that's
center.
true, yeah.
Well, they rent space like they do in Vista, they rent
Well,
They
space.
rent
Too.
basin.
And the actual structure is a little different.
So these are three concepts. And, for us to.
So we could use the Cross River building as a temporary space as we build over the highway department.
Sure.
Would it be okay to maybe post these for public input as well as maybe referring it to the task force?
Sure.
Their input.
Yeah,
to do
I
both?
can,
Yeah.
I'm sure T wouldn't mind. He gets the credit, but yeah, he wrote this up and there's a little intro. I mean, he did, some work in determining square footage and how much parking is needed for the court, for town
Just
meetings.
thoughts may be done, but like to consider putting everything together on this campus except PD and court, and then swapping PD and court back to the blue building because putting them out in
Yeah,
The Cross River building, not the blue
the
building.
Cross River building, which gets them, say, out on the highway and whatnot.
I mean, that's that, and when we were first looking at that building, I spoke to the chief about potentially locating PD there. It needs work because you gotta have separate entrances. It only has one entrance right now,
Okay,
one main
so,
entrance, but not to say it's not doable.
but there's some,
Yeah, can they have, for
Prospect.
example, the first floor and, we
right,
create another entrance, but then you
just
get,
another permutation anyway.
yeah.
I mean, there are other towns that have the court located on upper level.
Mhm.
I've been to several, so there's always stairs and an elevator available. I mean, it could be, we're gonna go down the road that Dan suggested of putting the police department on the first floor within separate entrances and putting the court on the second floor. And having, the PD blast off so that you don't have to go into the police department to
Right,
go up to the court. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible.
yeah, and
I mean, that would
is
be
there-
a better location for the police department and it's easier for. I think.
I mean, if they
the
could
court is
be-
the most frequently out of town visited
Mhm.
destination, I
Right.
think. The townhouses are obviously majority is members of
Kind of
residents of the town,
Right,
but the court
Hmm.
gets visitors from all.
Right,
And that puts the PD central to the.
Easily accessible from a variety of neighborhoods.
And it's, not that I think it's a real problem, but also the idea of having a police station with emergency vehicles coming and going next to the library
Mhm.
does give me a little concern.
Gives a lot of concern.
I mean, it's.
right.
I think
Yeah,
it would
it's
be.
not a-
Well, they would
Good
have,
idea.
yeah. I mean, so the idea would be to, it's a circular driveway, you come in by the post office and you leave here.
I'm sure it could be figured out by some
Mhm.
sort of planning and engineering. I'm just looking at the proximity of the library and the fact that we do have.
They wanna go
a number of
fast.
Young children that go in and out.
And
during. the-
Children at heart
Yes.
as
Yeah,
well.
and
Children are.
Now,
welcome.
of course, we have the option of, if we wanna. For example, put a temporary structure for PD, because the chief has looked at this, like there are companies that actually will outfit. These modular units that you can just park in a parking lot.
Yes.
It's got, built-in toilets and everything, bathrooms, and you can park it at the commuter lot, right? Until you figure out,
Until
I mean,
you finish
it's not
building.
until we need to have a plan figured out.
Yeah, because.
But while we are designing and before it gets, you have this space, if indeed they have to move, right? But the same thing with
Like
court.
they're gonna be in those trailers forever, and I would hate to put them in another trailer
Yeah,
and not finish.
right.
So are you in a position to put together these, how many permutations? And maybe to go back to the task force for one more, like,
Yeah, we can
let's
do
take a look
sit-down
at these,
session.
rule out this and that because it's a dumb idea or whatever.
That less than
obstacle.
optimal.
Less
Less than-
optimal idea.
Okay.
And then from there, come back to us and then if there's a next step to sort of like, let's do some estimates or something, we can
So
approve that.
time wise, where we're on the year in the calendar, maybe we can give them a 60-day timetable, come back to us. And
Summer-
see-
Oh, we gotta put
End of
this
September.
document
We gotta-
together first,
we'll
then,
combine all this into a document.
yeah.
It's the end of July right now. People go away and have family obligations to the month of August. Maybe we could start after
Let's
the
get
the
their
plans
input
are
on this.
pulled together. And maybe after the library fair and moving forward, the
We can
task
definitely get
force.
the information into the hands of the task force
Yeah.
so they can, because their minds, it's amazing. When we were walking around, their minds were going like. And everybody was thinking about something different, so at least get the ideas into their hands so they can start turning it over in their brains. And so by the time we pick a time in September to meet, they'll be in a good place to tell us. Or for them to hash it out amongst themselves and then come to us.
So you all think then the cross river building that we're potentially closing on is a good first step in moving towards a central campus plan?
Or a final plan of whatever it might be.
It's a first step. It's a, you know, we all agreed that was the first step, and yes, we're gonna close on it. So, yeah,
I agree that the time the recommendations were made. And I think I would feel better knowing where part two was going. Because I like the idea of a central campus.
We've got
This just
some big,
makes it tougher because. I'm just afraid we're gonna split it and it's never gonna come together. That's the only thing. Otherwise, I liked the building.
I think that it's a good first step. And I think with these ideas, not counting the one from over 20 years ago, the more recent ones have the potential for following the direction that the comprehensive plan wants us to take. So we could use a space for the police. Temporary, unfortunately, for a little bit longer, and then move forward to give them the center that they need.
Can I ask one more analysis to be done, Tony?
Mhm.
Could we cost out the trailer option versus? I think I may have answered my own question in my head, but versus the leasing of property. For the PD,
yeah, the trailer that the chief was looking at was about $75,000 a year.
How
I
much?
think it's 70,000,
75.
70 or 75.
could we figure out how much it would be maybe to lease space for that amount of time, just?
To lease space,
In one of the places that we were, one of the properties that we
Sure.
looked at, just to compare the cost.
mhm.
Cause I know
Yeah,
leasing a space requires build out. Of some sort to make
yeah, you
it,
need to,
right?
yeah, adapt it to
So
your
I'd just be
needs.
interested to compare the two. We're not there yet making that decision, but I think we should do a cost benefit analysis of leasing some space versus the trailer space and see how that comes out.
Yeah, if there's space to be leased, sure, we can do that.
Have you heard any like, state grant opportunities in this type of development might be available? Is it proceed forward?
I have not, I mean, sometimes you can get like the grant that we just got from Senator Harkin, I think can be used towards facilities. It's only $1,000.
There's a state like efficiency grants.
Now for court, there,
Court and PT, there should be. a
Yeah,
number of grants
court
available.
definitely PD it. Possibly, yeah. I don't know how much, but
Yeah, justice court assistance.
right,
So there's gotta be something out there for us.
Every
so
little bit helps.
do we want, I mean, do we have questions for any task force members or either online
Is
or
there-
here?
I see Kevin. Is there any other task force members in the room? I don't think so.
Or T had you wanted to say something, you wanted to say what you wanted to say, you still here? T, sorry, you wanted to say, go ahead and say.
No, I was just gonna point out.
If you don't mind coming up to the,
Introduce yourself. to the friends at home.
Hi, T. Rewa, architect, licensed in multiple jurisdictions, 30 years experience. Also got a degree in master planning, which is not just buildings, it's the spaces between them, and very important about landscaping. So I was just going to point out previously where the septic fields were, and there does seem to be some capacity to enlarge those as well. They were in the top right-hand corner on the northern side of the building, the
By the line,
entrance building, yeah.
Yeah, right.
There is actually another opportunity that I pointed out on my plans, but might have missed. There's a field next to the post office, which seems to be, have some nice flowers on it, that could be a potential, as well as the one on the other side, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Keller Field,
Keeler, yeah, that's where it's
For the
a
water
little wet.
plant is.
As a wet, yeah.
yeah, that's not
Wow.
really.
So do you have any sort of questions? I mean, my mandate.
Straightforward,
My mandate was just to locate the court, the Justice Department and the PD on this site and think about how building department, town clerk, supervisor could come back to this campus. But I'm happy to do any sort of permutations and combinations or anything that you may need. And I actually really like that idea of flipping the police department and the justice to the blue building. But it will be a little bit more challenging in terms of like internal structures and logistics, but
right.
I think it's all very doable.
I like that idea of putting the court and the police department on Route 35. I really do. It saves the community feel of this. It keeps it a neighborhood. And then it allows the police department to move easily and efficiently.
Just on the, this, but the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Steve.
So that from the police as well as the court. The closer it is to what. That gives an opportunity for economic vitality in the Hamlet Center, having additional people there to utilize the services and the business there. Be really a helpful thing, especially. You have people coming for court, you know.
Need to eat.
Yeah, they can hit Cameron's and borrow.
And Bacio and.
Bacio.
Yeah.
That's true, it would definitely be a benefit to the businesses there to add food court. In that particular area.
Well, we talked about that rental space that's in the
Yes,
Cameron's, so it's another option.
there's still options.
Yeah.
I think we have to put a list
Yeah.
of questions together for our task force once again,
Right, okay.
in with the materials, so maybe everybody can just put
Mhm.
together their thoughts and we can compile a list of questions.
Right, okay,
And maybe I should suggest that we ask this gentleman to participate with the task force,
sure. Do that. Yep.
if he's still here.
Yeah,
T, we're signing you up. That's first thing.
you're being voluntold.
Yes, you've been volunteered.
Right, I want to.
Okay,
I like that.
all right, so
Use it
so
with-
anything else? Kevin's here, do you want any comments, Kevin? Are you still here?
Yeah.
There you are. Kevin's our building inspector, he's also an architect and he's been.
So a master's in planning too.
Yeah.
Key is timing. Secondary is cost. And then, the idea of the grand plan or not, do we have the appetite to load a $50 million bond? Can we afford a $50 million bond? Will the voters approve it? I mean, you all here might say that's great and can't say it wouldn't be, but your taxes, not the least amount of taxes around here, they're pretty high and it's gonna make a major impact.
Town taxes are not high.
Yeah, well, in general.
Taxes are
tax-
low. But you're right.
I think we need
Yeah.
to see what the most cost effective way to go. I do think the acquisition of the office building is always, it's a safety net no matter what. you know, it's still a tangible piece of real estate that could always be sold down the road, probably at a profit down the road. So it takes care of, you know, 60% of our needs. And then we can figure out, do we build a police department here or do we build on the top of the highway department? You know, there are some logistic issues with that. Or the other pieces that we've been looking at. I mean, we can clearly convert this space into a police department and possibly fast track a courthouse building next to this. But government doesn't work that fast. We still have to go out to bid. We still have to do construction drawings. We can't, you know, design build as we're going. It's just, it's a process. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. And the key will be finding out, when are they really going to throw you out? When's the last drop dead date?
Oh, right.
It's really that.
Okay.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Any questions, Kevin?
None that you can answer right now.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, so that was our work session, so we'll go ahead and start the regular meeting. And we'll start with public comments. So anyone here that would like to come up and speak? You have 3 minutes. State your name and hamlet.
I'm sorry. You check and say how many members were on Zoom,
Oh,
so I.
are there any members with their hands up? Any task force members? I thought I saw Steve join, but
Steve, who?
Steve's last name again.
O'Hara? Yes,
Yes.
he is on here, put his hand up now.
With his hand up?
Yes.
Let's his hands up.
So wait just a minute. There is a task force member online who would like to make a comment.
Steve O'Hara, can you unmute, please?
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted to weigh in on Kevin's comments. I think timing is going to be important, and that was what we were operating on in our initial meetings. So yeah, I would just echo Kevin's comments, and I really look forward to actually reviewing T's proposals. I think there is some good material there, and I think we can take this new direction and come up with new recommendations.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Steve.
Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve. Is Christina Ray on the task force?
Okay, Paul.
Okay,
Maybe that one.
Paul Lewis, Twin Lakes Village here in South Salem, is talking about the channel crossing with Oskalita Road. So I'm Paul Lewis. We have lived in Twin Lakes for 60 years, and I've been aware of the need to replace the culvert beneath Oskalita Road since 2022. That year, I sent photos of a metal deterioration in the culvert to the town, and it triggered a quick response. Town engineer Joe Cermelli made several site visits and issued a report that included photos showing the damage. I'm sure you've all seen that report. That was back in 2022. Since then, engineers at both the state and local level have agreed upon the need to replace the culvert, but progress has been frustratingly slow. The DOT grant the town applied for and received is a reimbursement grant. So work must be in progress before the town begins to receive the reimbursements. So it is important that if you pass that resolution tonight to get things moving again. If you fail to do so, the town risks losing the grant reimbursement and will have to pay for this critical infrastructure to repair the project with town funds. We're all aware that the deterioration of the culvert has increased significantly over the past 3 years, causing dips in the road, and they're beginning to become deeper. This project needs to move forward, so I urge you to pass the resolution to approve the Tectonic as a consulting firm for the project. So
Thank you, Paul.
it needs work. Thank you.
Good evening, Jen Castellano, Hamlet Vista. More importantly, I'm here as a former town board member. And I think the presentation and the work session this evening was really very helpful, but to be perfectly frank and cut to the chase, you can't do any of the work on those drawings if you don't pass the bond resolution. Okay, so there's a reason that some of those drawings are 20 years old and we don't have actually buildings and a campus that our town employees are doing work in currently. There's a reason why our police department is still working in temporary trailers, okay? That's well over a decade old. It is an absolute dereliction of your duty as town board members to abstain or vote no. And if you're claiming an ethical conflict, Andrea, you need to demystify that for the people in the room, because you can't have a conflict when it relates to the purchase of the property, but not have a conflict to operate as the liaison for the task force, and then to abstain on the vote for the borrowing resolution. That needs to be clarified for people, because right now we are in a situation where not passing this bond resolution downgrades our credit rating potentially long-term. Every single one of these renderings is going to require additional borrowing. If our credit rating goes down, we will have to be borrowing at higher interest rates. It means none of these drawings make it into an actual building where our town employees can do work. And that's really, it's unfair to our town employees. This is a decades-old problem that needs a solution. It's completely unfair. And Andrea, for you to be holding a press conference to try and bring cameras up here to talk about the poor conditions their employees are in, I mean, you're at the table. Vote for the borrowing resolution, or at least provide a better explanation for why you're recusing yourself, because that's not clear to the taxpayers of this town. Thank you.
Hi, Rob Cummings, South Salem. I was struck by the 20-year-old drawings because I was here for that whole library discussion, and there was a lot of good stuff in there. But I don't want to be here in 2045 looking at things we're talking about today that hadn't gotten done. So we got to do something. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know what Jen was talking about, but we've voted, or you voted to purchase the property, but there's a holdup in financing. So and Andrea, you've recused yourself. I have a question: is we need a super majority? Do we have a majority of people? It's 3-1 last time they voted. That's 75% in my world. That's a super majority. Is her seat not part of the math there? Or I don't understand all the legalities, but we have an immediate need. We're going to be out of that building in December. I mean, maybe as early as December. And you have a building you can purchase and then use it for 3 years and sell it. And it probably will make us money, or keep it. And there's actually, I passed by it today, the property next door is for sale too. There's a bunch of parcels there that have newly come up for sale. I see the beginnings of a town campus there. This would be a wonderful town campus too, right where we're standing, but I don't see, I see two things. We need the immediate work done, and then we need the long-term plan. And you spent a lot of time talking about the long-term plan, which was wonderful pie in the sky stuff. But December 31st, people are going to be out on the street who are working for the town, including the police, so and the courts. So we're not going to have that unless you get off the pot.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, Karen Conti from South Salem. I wanted to thank you for, I guess, having your work session in public. It was very informative. Based on my experience in my prior life, if we don't have a borrowing resolution and use a ban, then there's an additional layer added onto this that would prohibit many of these plans. And that is, if we have a higher interest rate, the bank is only going to give us so much. They're going to say your debt service is like this. And if we go down one rating, because we're using up our reserve funds, that's like a point or a point and a quarter, which would mean like a serious amount more interest, and that would mean we can borrow less. So these plans may be, just pie in the sky. But in addition, just by having delayed the vote for hopefully, passing a resolution for this ban, it's already cost us almost $60,000 because it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks until the ban actually, the paperwork comes through and we can reimburse ourselves. So, the board just threw $60,000 of taxpayer money out the window. $2.22 million at, I think somebody said we're borrowing, we get interest at 5-ish%, you do the math. So, I'm kind of disappointed in that. And I like the idea of us, having a whole campus, but we have to be realistic before we can even, look at any of these plans. We have to have an architect come in, look at all the different kinds of property, what happened 20 years ago. I mean, we had environmental laws then that we can't build anything over here. You think that we can build and then have it so close to the lake and they're going to allow us to do that? The DEP and the environmental people, I doubt that. So we need to get architects, we need to get people crawling around all of our spaces to see what our spaces look like when we buy that building and somebody peeks inside the walls. What if we need all new electrical to upgrade so that everybody can have internet? Right now, people are working on their phones. So there's a lot to go into it before we get to the point where, oh, we like this plan and we like that plan. Experts need to tell us the viability of all the different pieces of property. And then we have to back into how much financing can we really get? And that's even aside from how much will our community bear, which, it's, I think our community would love everything, but paying for it, that, we typically don't do that. Thank you.
Hi, Janet Anderson, town of town of Lewisboro, but the hamlet of South Salem. And I know I appeared before you wearing a bunch of different hats. I'm in my resident phase today. I am, and in particular, I'm a resident that's on the north side of the Oskaleta culvert. So I'm here really to speak in support of the resolution that would appoint Tectonics as the engineer. So the culvert issues, as Paul Lewis indicated, he really identified them with some photos originally in 2022. I sent you a copy of the inspection reports earlier today. At that time, Pete Ripperger said he didn't have the budget to do it. It was not put into the budget. The town decided to go and get a grant. We received the grant. And I think it's at this point, it's clear we either have to replace the culvert, repair it, fix it somehow by either using grant money or town money. And so I really encourage you to use grant money. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be people here tonight who are going to talk about different ways to construct it. You can either construct it, closing one lane, closing it all together. But I don't think there's going to be anybody here who says you shouldn't proceed with getting going on that culvert. So, and one of the other residents showed pictures that he took today, and I don't know whether you've gotten them or not, but they are impressive. So thank you. I hope you'll move forward with that.
Thanks, Jen.
Hi, good evening, Katie Promoso. I'm in South Salem. I'm just wanted to speak with you today about to voice my support for the paving of Old Church Lane. I know it's already been approved, but there's been some resident pushback. I think the paving is scheduled to end at 60 Old Church. We're at 46 Old Church Lane. We've been dealing with runoff and drainage issues since we've been in our house, which is 15 years. We last year got our driveway repaved, and we actually incurred the expense of putting in a new catch basin and draining all of the runoff from the street. It cost us tens of thousands of dollars, which we took on ourselves. But we still have to dig out all the road debris from the catch basin on a regular basis. So we're really hoping that even if it's not in the budget for right now, if we can extend it at least past our house and our neighbor, which we still are dealing with those issues. There's also an incredible amount of dust and debris that gets kicked up. We're very close to the road. We can't even open our windows. So just wanted to voice our support and see if you could do anything about extending the paving the next time around. Thank you.
Good evening, Pam Rubin, South Salem, Old Church Lane. There are 3 reasons why the small section of Old Church Lane that the Highway Department is planning on paving should be paved. Fiscal responsibility based on cost of maintenance, environmental safety, homeowner health safety. In 2020, the town was proposing borrowing upwards of $500,000 to pave the road end to end. Now the Highway Department is planning on permanently fixing the drainage issues by paving just a small section of the road. 5.5 years ago, it was estimated to cost upwards of $25,000 a year just in materials alone to maintain the road, and that cost has done nothing but go up since then. The figure did not include labor and equipment costs. It takes the grader 1 hour to get to Old Church, and the road is graded more than 4 times a year. The drainage issues are addressed more often than that, requiring even more manpower. In the winter, the dirt road has to be plowed 2 to 3 times more than the surrounding roads, that with much more salt being used as well. This all runs into the wetlands. If a homeowner had runoff and chemicals going into the wetlands as we do on Old Church in that section of what is being proposed being paved, the homeowner would be fined. It is impossible to correct the drainage issues without paving the small section of the road. The taxpayers' money is literally getting washed away. By paving the small section of the road, it allows the highway department to make certain sections of the road slightly wider where 2 cars could actually pass each other. It might also encourage my neighbors and their tradespeople to stop driving down the center of the road around blind corners and hills, oblivious that someone might be coming in the opposite direction. I have been in the air filtration industry for over 32 years. Studies show that living on dirt roads create unhealthy living conditions, especially for young children with developing lungs and the elderly. It leads to asthma, bronchitis, and COPD from constantly breathing the road dust that contains silica and other heavy metals such as lead, aluminum, and PAHs. Since COVID, our way of living and shopping online has dramatically changed. Old Church was not built to carry the amount of traffic that is now coming with all of the deliveries, landscapers, oil deliveries, the 6 different waste management companies that service our road, and so on. In addition to that increase in truck traffic, since Kitchewan was changed to a no-through truck road, trucks use Old Church as a cut-through. The dirt road, and specifically the area that is to be paved, simply cannot hold up to the wear and tear. The majority of the vehicles traveling on the road are driving well over 25 miles per hour. I clocked someone going 45 this weekend. If speed is a fear of residents, once the small section is paved, then the town should lower the speed limit to an appropriate speed for the road and enforce it. After all, we do have an Alfano living on our road.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Renee Goldstein. I live on Cove Road in South Salem. I'm here to ask that you approve the resolution to repair the culvert in Oskalita and specifically to use the grant money for it, not the town money for it. I drive over that road numerous times a day, paddle under it, although I don't think it's safe to do so anymore. The divot in the road is getting worse and worse, and I think it's really dangerous and growing increasingly more dangerous. And I encourage you to use the grant money to fix it.
Anyone else? How about on Zoom?
Yes. Christina Ray, I'm asking you to unmute.
I'm trying.
Yep,
Can
we hear you.
me?
Okay, we hear you.
Okay. I'm Christina Ray from Cross River. And I just wanted to say that whatever the final configuration of the town offices, and I thank you for allowing us to hear the informative work session on that. It looks like we are definitely going to be buying 892 Route 35, so we do have an immediate need to pay for that. And I strongly urge that we use a bond resolution to do that in order to, which is, I gather, a standard process for capital expenses of this kind, so that we don't have to dip into our fund balance, which could, as others have noted, lower our credit rating and impair our ability to undertake any of the ideas which were mentioned in the work session, many of which sound very exciting.
All right, thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening. I'd like to start by saying it was so surprising to see the Democratic chair come out and attack our one Republican, Andrea, during an election year. That was clever. And bring members of the Democratic board with her to help Tony out. The concern for our credit rating, although real, blaming the person that you've picked is wrong. Tony, it is my belief that you decided to jump into a contract without having these discussions, which were very interesting this evening. As Rich has stated, as Andrea has stated, and now we're in the contract for this building that we're paying way too much for and doesn't solve our problems. And now we're trying to get out of it. You talk about something that was talked about 20 years ago. Dan's been on the board almost 20 years. Where have you been, Dan? And Mary, you vote in a block. It's Tony, Dan, and Mary. And that's what happens. And when I listen to Rich and I listen to Andrea, I hear viable conversations that make sense. The other way, it's like you don't even want to hear it. It is my belief that now, Tony, we need to bail you out because of this situation. And that's why everyone's here to help you and yell at people who shouldn't be yelled at. I am really concerned with the direction of where we're heading. We're talking about a town campus, and you're buying a building that it is not conducive to a town campus. And somebody said, oh, well, the building next to it's for sale. That's over 2 million. And I hear that there's already offers, so it might even go further up. I don't know where we're getting all this money from. And I'm a little disappointed. And next time, I believe that you want to do something or say something, just stand on it yourself. You had a vote. You didn't win the vote. Now you're going to ask for another vote. And I'm sure it's going to pass because we have to have it pass. And that's what's going to happen. I find it very disingenuous to bring your whole Democratic team in a voting year here to support you. Shameful. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Janet. Barbara Mangione, Goldens Bridge, New York. For a minimum of at least 12 years, Tony and Peter have held the position of town supervisor for the town of Lewisboro. For over those 12 years, this issue has gone nowhere. I have watched every meeting, town board meeting, for a minimum of 5 years. I have attended some in the past. I have kept up to date on the minutes. I find it a little bit ironic and laughable that at the 11th hour, people are coming out of the woodwork chastising board members who have voted no on the resolution or have recused themselves from the vote. Nothing like a bit of public bullying to further your agenda. Where was everyone when these issues were nowhere? For the last 12 years, where's everybody been? Okay, where was everybody when there was actually an ethical question about having a sitting board member also on the Sustainable Westchester board? Where was everybody then? Where was everybody concerned about ethics or what our board was doing? It's no secret that our town has needed space for years, which is why we rented space in both Cross River and Lewisboro Elementary School for a minimum of 10 years, paying both rent and moving costs, a pretty penny. So plans were never made to investigate this issue. And now, as usual, our town has its back up against the wall and we're being forced to make decisions that we shouldn't be forced to make because we knew this was coming down the pike. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Allens, can you please state, I'm asking you to unmute, but state your full name, please.
Hi, my name is Alan Sternfeld. I'm a resident of Lake Wacabuck. I encourage you to vote to approve the civil engineering firm for the Oscarita Road culvert project, but more particularly, I understand that there's a choice to be made during the term of the building project, whether to close Oscarita Road entirely and divert traffic up Hawley Road past Mountain Lake State Park, which I think is a terrible idea because of all the residents going up and down that road, which is a twisty, turny, unsafe mountain road and will be used as well by delivery trucks, and also make the intersection of Hawley and 121 unsafe, probably requiring either a four-way stop sign or a temporary stoplight there. Alternatively, to just leave one road open, one lane open, and put a temp stoplight on Oscarita Road where the culvert project is, to me makes much more sense. It will allow emergency vehicles, fire, police, ambulance to come through, and undoubtedly lives will be saved if that's the course we go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan. Glenn DeFaber, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I couldn't resist the bullying that went on. And I'm glad the Democrat Town Committee showed their true colors. And I actually agree with Karen Conti with this. There should be architects and a whole slew of things to do. But unfortunately, our supervisor, as usual, didn't do anything for a year. He sat on this for a year. So Karen, why didn't you tell Tony what to do then instead of telling him now? It would have made it simpler. There wouldn't have been this confusion. And more than that, you knew about this a year ago, Tony, but then you still wasted the money, the COVID money, on the pickleball court. And good thing those bids came out higher than you anticipated, because we would have been funding the pickleball court when we needed the money for the town offices. So there you go again, Tony, planning things as they should. And then you need money for the culvert, which would lower our bond rating. Nothing is ever planned. It's haphazard. But you know who the biggest person that could have saved us? The Board of Education president. Julia Hadlock knew, I would assume before Tony, that they weren't going to renew the lease. And she's a Lewisboro resident. And lo and behold, I believe she's on the Lewisboro Democrat Town Committee, and she's a candidate, and she said nothing. Is she still hiding in her basement? Because no one has heard anything. But to tell you the truth, if I was her, I'd hide in the basement also, so I didn't have to answer any questions. So if Karen Conti has to blame anybody, she has to blame Tony for not doing exactly what she said we should be doing. But the Lewisboro way is always the cart before the horse. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Glenn. That's it, Tony.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay, so next, I'm gonna jump to Alex's Eagle Scout project presentation because he's been waiting here long enough. I'm gonna put your presentation up on the screens. Yeah. And actually, I have something I want to read.
You still need your badge in government because you totally qualify after today's meeting.
Could get that. Hold on a second. If you'd like, yeah. Actually, while I'm setting this up, this is a letter from John Lemke.
Who's the chair of the Lewisboro Town Veterans Advisory Committee. Dear members of the town board, dated July 1st, 2025. As the chair of the Lewisboro Veterans Advisory Committee, I would like to express my full support for the Eagle Scout project proposed by Scout Alex
Gratis.
Thank you for your patience. Alex's project focuses on honoring local veterans by identifying, marking, and resetting the military foot markers at Bexhill Cemetery on Route 123 in Vista. The project also includes measures to protect these markers from vehicle damage and the construction of a kiosk that maps the locations of veteran graves within the cemetery. Given the importance of recognizing and preserving the memory of those who've served, some of whom were wounded or gave their lives for our country, I have asked our committee to assist and support Alex in accordance with the guidelines of an Eagle Scout project. As the property in question is owned by the town of Lewisboro, Alex will need formal approval from the town board to proceed. He may have already contacted you or will be doing shortly with a request for approval. We respectfully ask that you add this item to the agenda, which we have. At this time, Alex will present the full scope of his project, including the required document and insurance coverage. This project aligns directly with one of our committee's mission objectives to involve the youth of our community in veteran-related initiatives that foster awareness, respect, and civic engagement. It reflects the spirit of past efforts such as the Military Tribute Banner Project, the John Jay High School Student Memorial on the Townhouse lawn, and the dedication of the John Jay High School Veterans Memorial Highway. Thank you in advance for your consideration and support. Duty, honor, service, respect, John Lemke.
Thanks for that, John. Hey, Alex, all yours.
So my project would be improving and mapping veterans' grave sites at Bexhill Cemetery over in Vista. This is an overview of the project, so it would include resetting approximately 23 veterans' footstones, building 3 to 4 sections of split rail fence, a map and list of veterans for a kiosk, creating a kiosk and installing it, and purchase and place approximately 40 brass flag holders next to veteran stones. So the first part would be resetting the 23 sunken veterans' footstones. Many of the footstones have sunk below the ground level, making them difficult to see and easy to overlook. I'll carefully raise and set each one at ground level by placing stone dust below, which provides stability and proper drainage to help preserve them. The next part would be purchasing and install. That's a typo. It would be 40 bronze veterans grave markers with built-in flag holders. So that would ensure that each veteran's grave is clearly and respectfully marked. I'll install bronze markers featuring the appropriate military emblems, and each marker includes a built-in flag holder, so flags will sit above ground level, protecting them from rotting away. I will also build a kiosk with a map and list of all the veterans buried in Bexhill Cemetery. The kiosk will make it easier for families and visitors to locate the graves of loved ones It will include a printed map, a list of veterans by name, and a brief description of the project to help raise awareness and honor their service. Installing split rail fencing to prevent vehicles from accidentally driving over gravestones. So I'll install several short sections of split rail fencing in key areas near the northwestern edge of the cemetery to create a respectful boundary and prevent unintentional vehicle damage to grave markers and footstones. Currently, there are 2 footstones being driven over by that have gotten buried below mud and dirt. So this fence would help prevent that. And then that's a map of, it's. The red arrows would be where the split rail fence would be. So people are cutting that turn close and then driving over people's plots. And then the blue star would be where I hope to have my kiosk with the map and list. The yellow is the road.
What's the yellow?
So that's the road going through the cemetery. So it's,
Oh, so it's not like an actual road with houses on it? It's
no,
not the-
you just.
This is off the state. Is that Route 120?
That's
24?
That's 123.
123.
And on the other side of the road is the church, the
Yeah.
Episcopal Chapel.
That's right.
And then this is just a key for that. So the dots were the veterans' grave sites, organized by branch. And then the yellow portion's the road, the blue star's the kiosk site, and the red arrows are sections of split rail fencing.
Okay. So this is a great project. So
Thank you.
thank you very much for
Thank you.
doing this. Yeah.
I saw that you presented this at the barbecue for the Veterans Advisory Committee and the veterans in the community, and you started fundraising. Or you will be starting fundraising. You won't start fundraising until after you've gotten approval here.
Yes.
Will you have a website or a place where we can send donations after we approve it?
So the plan was to raise money through the Veterans Association. So that way the funds can go to them and then be put aside towards the project. So I could make a website and raise money at barbecues and meetings.
The Veterans Association Committee. The committee,
The
right?
committee.
So, yeah. In fact, there was some funds raised during at the barbecue.
Yes.
For this
So
specific.
cookout, we raised almost $250.
Right.
To start it off, yeah.
And do you have a budget already set up?
So the approximate price based on like different like hardware stores and stuff have. They can donate materials and stuff like that, but without donations, it would be around $2,000.
So you need a little more money.
Yes, a little.
All right, well, if anyone wants to donate towards this project, once it's approved.
And there's one town ordinance, I think.
Rich, you wanna come up to the, yeah, right, so people can hear you at home.
Yeah. Rich Healy, I'm with his.
Yeah, come up to the mic, come up to the mic so people at home can hear
Oh,
you.
sorry. Rich Healy, in Vista, in Alex's Troop 101. Apparently, was it Steve Johnson told us there's a regulation about resetting the footstones. They have to be in concrete, new ones do. But that's pretty involved for his type of project, so our thought was to put them on gravel, dig down a foot and a half on gravel and then stone dust and extend it around so they would not continue to sink, and that should alleviate the problem. But Steve said that he couldn't okay it without town approval to an exception for the ones for the stones he's resetting.
Right.
As opposed to adding new ones.
Right.
So.
Well,
that's all.
he's not adding new.
He's not adding, but the way, I don't know, that's what Steve pointed out to us. That he couldn't approve it without doing concrete. If we're lifting it out, then we're putting it back.
And all the stones that would be reset were before they made the rules that they have to be set.
So
So
would they not be
the question is,
grandfathered in?
Is it a town of Lewisboro cemetery or is it a private cemetery?
I think
Town.
it's a town.
There's a whole slew of cemetery law.
Yeah. Okay, so
Tony.
we just need an exception to that,
Jen?
as far as I know.
The cemetery commissioner, Steve Johnson, was in my office today, and he's totally fine with the sand stone. He's totally fine with that. and he's aware of it. He just wanted the board to know. Because in the cemetery regulations, it states concrete.
Right.
But he said he's fine with this.
Good, it's easy.
Well, I think since you're resetting old stones, there's nothing new about that, so.
Hopefully the needs are better than we are now, that's the.
Yep.
I move that we approve Alex's Eagle Scout project to pay honor to the veterans who are buried.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And people can
Thank you very
donate to
much.
the veterans.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Alex, if you want to
All
go
right.
home and do your homework, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I'm okay.
We can hang out. Thank you.
Earn a second government badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on. So next communications, I have one item. Speaking of paving, this was from our highway superintendent. It's basically his paving list for 2025, which we'll post this on the website. But starting in August 4th, the following roads are to be paved: Robin Woods Lane and Robbins Court, the entire road has been milled. So he's been milling and he's also going to be paving. Puddin Hill from New York State 123 to the Pound Ridge line, West Road, the entire road, Kingswood Way, the entire road, and it has also been milled, Rhodes End Road, the entire road, Hillcrest Court, the entire road, Deer Run, they're going to pay from where they left off last year, Old Orchard, the entire road, Elmwood from Route 123 to Shady Lane, the entire road, Old Church Lane, which has been discussed, from house number 60 to the existing paved area. And then he's going to top coat the existing paved area to the Pound Ridge line. Top coat means it's a smaller or thinner coat on top of the existing. Billingsley Trail, the entire road, and that has also been milled. And Brundage Drive from Route 138 to Wright Drive, which also has been milled. And in terms of Brundage Drive, he's going to be doing that work. In fact, I saw them out there today. They're doing some prep work there this week. They're going to try to keep one lane open, but some of the cross pipes that need to be installed may result in closing the road for a period of time. But folks have a secondary way to access. So thank you very much, John, for this list, and we'll.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I had a discussion with John last week about this, so he was concerned with the timing. Oh, thank you. He had a concern with the timing, so he was hoping that people will be patient, because basically what the highway department does is they prepare the roads, they do the milling, they do all of that, so it's very rough. Until the company that had won the bid to do the paving comes in. So he was working really hard on getting a date confirmed as to when they can start. And they can actually start sooner than what he was originally told. So they'll start in August. So by the time they're done preparing the roads, then the company should be caught up and be up to then paving the roads that they're finishing on. So by September, all those roads should be completed.
Okay.
I received something from Alex. Can you read that?
Sure, if it's for, yeah, for communication, sure.
And Tony, this is on the website already.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Jen,
Okay.
put it up.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Excellent.
And this is from Adam Oates, the commissioner with the fire department. Lewisboro, New York Regional Emergency Management Award in recognition of the first National Emergency Management Awareness Month of August and the National Preparedness Month in September. We would like to recognize someone who's demonstrated a dedication and enthusiasm as it relates to emergency management and preparedness within our local region. The timeframe would be that we start the call for nominations here and the surrounding area. And the last week of August is the deadline to receive nominations. I've got a form that Commissioner Oaks has submitted to us, and I'll ask Jen to put it up on the website.
Sure.
And then the announcement of the selected nominees will be made in early September, and on September 29th in the evening, we'll present the selected nominee, the award to the New York State Citizen Preparedness at the training session at the Lewisboro Library, which again is September 29th. So you can register for that as well. So I will send along the nomination form and nominate away.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, all right, so that's communications. Next, we have the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes of the July 14th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, old business. So I just want to, before we jump into that, so this is again the borrowing resolution. People have, obviously are asking why it's on here again. But I just want to, first of all, highlight some of the points that has been highlighted as part of the presentation we made at the last meeting. And I'd like to thank Annie Burnham, our controller, who's here, who did a fabulous job at putting a lot of this information together, working closely. Closely with our financial advisor, Janet Morley from Capital Market Advisors. They're the people that we've been working with them for years. And as supervisor, I'm the chief fiscal officer, so I have responsibility to take their guidance and come up with the right things to do, right? To make sure that we're doing this in the most cost-effective way to the taxpayers and not overburden them with taxes, of course. Just and again, we've been successful in getting our credit rating raised to AA+ stable, which is the second highest rating you can have. We did that last year in March. The last time we had this rating was in 2006. And then from 2006 through to 2014, it continued to decline, our credit rating. So of course, we want to avoid declines because having a great credit rating helps us, as has been said, with our ability to borrow and borrowing at aggressive rates. The town has been doing well. We have a significant fund balance. And combine that together with the amount of grants that we've been receiving, we have been able to accomplish a lot of things. A lot of major projects have gotten off the ground, a lot of facilities improvements. We've tapped into just over $1.7 million of fund balance. And the year's not over, so there will be other projects that are gonna require additional taking additional money out of fund balance. One of the ratios that the rating companies look at is they look at the ratio of your fund balance to your operating budget. And currently, taking into consideration the 1.7 million we've already used from fund balance, we're at a 44.8%, which is near the median for New York State municipalities with this AA+ rating. We passed as a board a couple of months ago a resolution to not allow our fund balance or this ratio of fund balance to operating budget to fall below 20%. With this building purchase, and let me touch on that because it wasn't done by executive order, as some people think. It was a board decision. We took the 2 professional appraisals, and the average is what we ended up paying. The buyer ended up putting more money into it, to repairs, new roof, etc., but several other things. And it was a board decision, and it was a recommendation from this task force that was put together. So it wasn't my decision, just to clarify that point. Now, with the purchase of this building, if we were to take that $2.2 million out of fund balance, that ratio I just spoke about is gonna hit 24.7%, which is dangerously close to that 20% mark and would impact our future credit rating and the advantages of lower interest rates. And we don't know how the rest of the year is gonna look in terms of revenues and expenses, so that's another unknown. So obviously it's important to us to to vote, and it is a super majority, which means you need 4 votes. That's what the super to answer question that Rob had. So you do need 4 votes on a bond resolution, and it's always been done in the past. Whenever we have a major capital expense, you always pass a bond resolution. And then it's up to, depending on financial situation as the year goes on, we have years to tap into that money or not, but at least it's there. But we pay at the closing, we'll pay for the purchase from the fund balance. And then we can look at where things are, and then we can decide, okay, do we want to borrow the full 2 million, or maybe we're gonna have a banner year and maybe we'll borrow 1 million. But the important thing is not to lose our credit rating and to be able to then line up our finances so that we can pursue these other projects, including this town campus, and start thinking towards that potentially. As was depicted in the presentation I provided. So this is, in conclusion, we need for the town board to pass a bond resolution. It's a fiscally responsible thing to do. And so at this point, I think.
I need to recuse myself.
Okay.
This is the appropriate time for me to respond.
Let me just ask, because you already recused yourself, but you can sit and listen.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I have to leave. Those are the
Okay.
rules. I have to leave.
Yeah.
Because I can't be here, because it may imply my presence may cause a member to vote one way or the other for whatever personal reasons. I just follow the rules.
Right.
Talking about following the rules, the reason why I recused myself is because after the task force was assembled and after we went and we did the site visits, I'm sorry, has Jen left for the evening? I'm answering her question.
Yeah.
So after that point in time, we were having a conversation, and at which time I was advised by our attorney that I had mentioned that I was, and up until just a few weeks ago, continued to be a tenant of Michael Sirignano, and at that address, 892 Route 35. And that caused a conflict of interest. That because I was there and I was paying minimal rent and being allowed to use that address for my legal address for process of service and things of that nature, that created a conflict of interest. And that at that time, until I moved my address, that it was a conflict of interest and there was no way that I should vote on funding, whether we were going to purchase the property or how we were going to fund that property. So immediately, upon advice of counsel, which I am sharing, I immediately started to find a new address to remove that conflict. I still had questions as to whether even changing my address would remove that conflict, because it was so close in time to all of this voting and all this conversation. And so, as I suggested in the past, I personally made a referral to our town ethics committee and requested an ethics opinion. And honestly and truly, when I referred it, I didn't think, when they found out that I was changing my address, that there would be a conflict, but they did an in-depth investigation. They asked me a number of questions. They held an entire meeting, and all of them, we have a full committee now. A member is sitting in this room right now. And they came back and told me that they felt that I still continue to have a conflict of interest with regard to any vote on the funding of this building. And because I have advocated for the respect of the ethics committee's decision, I decided to abide by that. And that's why I'm recusing myself. Believe me, there's lots I have to say, and I would love to vote on this, but I can't. Although I did receive some pressure from town board members to ignore the ethics committee's decision and to come in and vote in favor of this. I can't do either. So now you all have my answer. I hope that Ms. Castellano is satisfied. And now I'm going to do what I've done before, and I'm going to leave the room and allow you all to deliberate. Well said.
So like, I guess I'll go ahead and motion, that we, pass this borrow resolution for the Cross River office building. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Thank you. Just want to correct a couple of things. You mentioned professional appraisals. My recollection was a total of 3, not 2. Towards the process. And also my understanding as far as the mechanics, and I learned a lot through this process, which was good to get educated about it. And Annie, still here, thank you. I've asked a lot of questions. You've been there, and I think I've been a decent student, actually. See how I did. But actually, one of the things that I learned as far as the borrowing resolution, which we're contemplating, gives us authority to borrow up to the purchase price of 2.225 million. And as explained to me, the bond authorization is first, and then based upon where we're at, if we were to take it out of our fund balance, that would reduce it to 24.7%. And the idea for a credit rating, we want to keep it above 40%. So on a mechanics standpoint, we need to, and I've spoken to Annie, that we need to take, not only authorize it, we need to borrow the full amount of the full amount of the bond authorization resolution. So talking about tapping into it, no, we need to get authority to do it, and then we need to borrow it to have it for the closing based upon the terms of the bonding resolution. And then by doing that, that will bring us back up.
Actually, you don't need to have it for the closing. The closing funds will come from fund balance.
Okay, but we need to basically borrow all of that in order to restore.
Annie, just going like this.
Oh, yeah, you want to come up? Sorry, yeah, but in, well,
Just wanna clarify that last point that you just made. This is Ian Burnham. My name is Annie Burnham. I'm the comptroller for the town of Lewisboro. I just want to be clear, the bond resolution has to pass before the closing of the building, before the outlay of the cash, or else we lose the right
right,
to reimburse ourselves.
right.
But the actual borrowing,
Does,
Rich was just indicating we had to move on that. That's not as.
well, that's based on replenishing the fund balance once you outlay the cash, yes.
Okay.
To stay away from that 24%, get back to the 45, which is where it's recommended.
And that should be done with some haste as opposed to, it's not like something that just gets cleaned up at the end of the year.
That's right. Agency.
You're gonna need it basically now, so that brings it back up to the above 40%.
Okay.
And that gets us back to the
Safe.
rest of us, we're closer to the median and doesn't have any potentially adverse impact upon the AA+ rating.
And if you do have a.
Ms. Burnham just nodded in the sense. Yes.
Okay, so no, don't anyway, so and it's been an educational process, but so during this, my concern was not about borrowing for something infrastructure wise. My concern was to do it piecemeal and not have a focus about longer term aspects of it. I've had a lot of conversations with Tony, and as part of hearing that conversation, we had this work session today, which I greatly appreciate. And one of the things that's I wanted to bring forward as far as policy and dialogue, and you saw it happen today here, where we're talking about the concept of a centralized town campus. It's something that was talked about a couple of decades ago. And I think that for the reasons I spelled out before, I think it's something we should pursue. We should go forward. And Tony we've corresponded, we've spent time together talking about it. And Tony's talked about this campus idea still standing, has to be in phases and designed with site feasibility analysis, as you reiterated again today. So that was my primary concern. I want to make sure we're looking at the big picture and we have focus and talking about that, and we have something on board here today. Now we're going to reconvene our task force with some focus. We're going to talking about big picture ideas, and I appreciate it. I feel that I've been heard as far as that, and understanding where we're at right now. One of the things I was reading, I was out and about in literature, find it, was somebody was concerned about not adopting this resolution, potentially impacting the municipality's financial stability and credit rating. And that was not one of the people out there. So what that means is it's it's a nonpartisan issue. So I'm comfortable modifying my vote and going forward with the bond authorization resolution.
May I correct you just a little bit? You didn't just have conversation with Tony. You had conversations with other people as well.
Oh, yes, of course, sure.
I was one of them.
Yes, yes.
And,
Yes.
and, you
Did you have
know.
it for 2 hours at your house though? At 9 o'clock at night, so.
I did not, but we've had several phone conversations and we've gotten input from a lot of members of the community. Not just Republican, but or Democrat, but people in the middle and independents as well, who feel strongly about making sure we made the right fiscal decision for the future of our community.
And when people of both parties and non-parties are saying the same thing at this point, then it seems like it's the right thing to do at this point in time. And I appreciate all you did to bring this forward in a work session, to have this conversation. Then everybody had input here. It's an opportunity for Lewisboro's future, which I think is really important. And we can talk about that as we go forward. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add that, you know, where we are today, you know, I have to credit Peter Parsons and Leo Masterson, former controller, because they took us out of the hole. They handed me, you know, a town that was in really good shape financially, and we've continued on that track, and hopefully we'll continue to do so with Penny's help. So, yeah.
And Leo did a great job of educating us and bringing
educating
us up
me.
to speed,
Yeah.
not just you.
Yeah. Yeah.
As to good fiscal responsibility, and Ms. Burnham has continued the educational process in a very professional and thoughtful way.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so in a second,
We
have discussion, all in
that was our
favor?
discussion.
Roll
We have to
call?
roll call.
What was the roll call? Okay, Dan,
Dan Welch, aye.
Mary,
Mary Shaw, aye.
Rich,
Now and I.
Tony's and I. Okay. Thank you.
Can you have Andrea come back in?
Oh. So let me, can I just ask, I'm gonna question of council on the logistics for the closing, right? I know we're waiting on numbers and we're gonna set a date. But we need to go ahead and authorize to move forward. Do we need those numbers first before we do that authorization to?
Yeah, what I would like to do is, I think we were talking about a date after your next meeting, which is
Okay.
August 11th. And at that meeting, what I plan on doing is presenting a resolution designating literally you as the authorized official to execute documents and for the payment of the gap monies, maybe
Right.
contract deposit and what's due as the adjusted purchase price between the tax adjustments.
And the other
rent
adjustments,
and
the-
and
yeah.
title bill and all that.
Mhm.
Okay, so I fully plan on having that available for the board to consider at the August 11th meeting. If it closed that week, that's great. If it grows the following, but I don't have it today because there was a couple of issues that had to be cleared up that had to be cleared up.
Okay.
We just haven't gotten down to ironing out the final numbers.
Right.
We do that before
Okay.
the next meeting, right?
Okay, great. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
All right, so next we have a resolution to approve Lewisboro Garden Club Golden Road daffodil planting at the Lewisboro Town Park. So
George is here.
George is here. If you want to say something, George, it is in the packet.
George Scott, representing the Lewisboro Garden Club, and on a lighter note, we're requesting the board approval for planting daffodils at the town park, specifically on the level lawn between the circle and the ball field itself. This will be our 19th annual planting. So far, we've planted 65,000 daffodils. We're specifically asking for permission to plant 3,000 more daffodils according to the map that's been distributed to you guys.
How many thousands?
3,000.
Before, what was it, 65?
65,000 in total in the last 19 years we've done.
It's just worth reiterating, that's
Yeah.
55,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of daffodils. It'll be approximately 1,500 square feet, approximately 75 feet by 20 feet. It'll vary a bit, depending upon the layout. The planting this year will be November 1st and the rain date is November 8th. There is an electrical junction box there with conduits going under there. I'm sure there's electric. We will do like we did last year. We'll call before we dig. They notify all the electric companies, all the people. It's a pretty involved process, and then they give us approval. They mark it out for us, and of course, we'll plant around it. I'm also asking for waiving the Architectural and Community Appearance Review Council fee. And that's pretty much it, except to say that I think you know that horticulturally speaking, Lewisboro is on the map. The program has been picked up by the Associated Press. It's gone nationwide to 2,000 papers. It's been picked up by 3 gardening journals. We have shared our program with 10 other communities around the country from that publicity. So horticulturally speaking, they know where Lewisboro is. And I'm asking for your approval.
I move that we approve the Golden Groves planting at the Lewisboro Town Park as presented by George.
And I second that. With great thanks to.
Yes, many thanks.
And you're all invited to come on November 1st, and some of you have before, and we do appreciate it. Thank you.
We have to vote on it.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Horticulturally, that's the one.
so next is resolution approving the attendance at the New York State Recreation and Park Society Conference. This is a conference to be attended by Katie Colaccini, Michael Portnoy, and Nicole Caviola from Parks and Rec. And this is budgeted, so yeah, it's in the budget.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a resolution approving the Vista Hamlet Stewardship Council Hoedown fundraiser, Vista Park and waive fees.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, next I'm gonna skip the solar panels crest grant because we did that already. I was reminded today that this was done some time back. And we have the resolution, so we're gonna skip that, yeah.
Well, no, it's already done.
Right.
It's
We're our agenda purposes.
Yeah, it's removed for the agenda. We're actually working on the bid package, which will be posted soon. Next is the resolution to appoint Tectonic as a consulting civil engineering firm for the Escalita Road Culvert project. And just provide some background. So with the
We will do the motion. I think you'd be accepting the proposal, that would be the motion. It's not an appointment necessarily, but. We have a proposal to provide the design services.
It's not a point. Yeah, okay,
I'm just saying,
right.
it doesn't-
It's, yeah.
When you make the motion, it would be accepting the proposal.
Right. Okay. Okay. So background. So it's a New York State DOT. It's called the Bridge New York grant that we were successful in getting. It's a $1.46 million grant. And there are certain guidelines we have to work with, including picking there's a list of consultants that DOT provides who we had to send out a request for bids for them to design this project. Out of a dozen or so, Tectonic were the only ones to respond. And so we have their proposal. It's basically a $400,000 project fund. It's a scope of services. And it's
turnkey. That's
page 46 of the.
Yeah, actually, the page 3 is where they actually have the design cost is for $412,000. Which page was that?
46 has the breakdown of how we got.
Oh, okay.
I went over this with Andy for just like half a second before the meeting, but in looking at the proposal, there's no timing as far as when it's payable or in what?
But no, they will invoice us as they complete various parts of the work. Sort of like what we're doing now with Kellett Sessions. So Kellett Sessions is doing the they did the bid spec for us. And so we've been invoiced. I mean, it's not huge, not like this, but so as we get the invoices, we then submit for reimbursement. So it's not going to be a one single invoice for the full amount.
Was there, do
That
we have
would be
a,
helpful information to have over the weekend.
It's in here.
Oh, your
Cost and
email
progress
said
reporting.
$112,000, that was your email.
Okay, sorry, I didn't specify the details, but so for the duration of this contract, the consultant will prepare and submit to the sponsor on a monthly basis a progress report in a format approved by the sponsor. The progress report must contain the cost control report, the beginning dates defining the reporting period must correspond to the beginning and end dates for billing periods. So this reporting process can also serve to explain billing charges.
so, see anything, as far as the anticipated timetable of the complete proposal, that's not really in there, is it?
So there's a plan for this work, which basically.
Well, what I'm getting at as far as from a flow standpoint, because we just, as I learned all this stuff, so in other words, if we're right at the 40-ish percentage threshold, if we were, for example, if we were to take out all that money.
Yeah, if we had zero revenue coming in, right? Let's say, we net out to zero between revenue expense, then yeah, the 412,000 would come out of that 44, would lower that 44%. That's your question.
Yeah, just want, the way it was framed as far as, okay, we have a $412,000 expense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the record, a lot of people are all of a sudden showing up about this culvert, apparently afraid that somebody on this board might vote not to do the project. So just so you all know, that's not the case. However, based on our conversations the past few weeks and the fact that our fund balance was threateningly headed in a downward spiral, that if that resolution didn't pass, our fund balance would have been knocked down to just above 20%. And then an email saying, oh, by the way, we have to fund this grant project up front before we're reimbursed by $412,000. And oh, by the way, town, there's a lot more coming before the end of the year that we need our fund balance for. So
just to be clear, we're not funding this up front.
Very dangerous position. So if anyone had heard anything about my position on this project, it wasn't that the project wasn't necessary or we shouldn't do the project, but rather a $412,000 hit to the fund balance right after a potential $2.25 million hit to the fund balance on top of other things kind of scared me. But I reached out to Annie and she explained and she confirmed with me today that she's okay with it because we're not paying it all at once. But for Annie, I wouldn't have known that. And I thought we were voting on $412,000. So that made me feel better.
So sorry if I didn't clarify that, but it's similar to what we're doing with Oak Ridge, which is a $4.2 million project.
Absolutely, and that's why it's so
we're getting
important to have
invoiced.
a healthy fund balance, because when you have the benefit of grants and you have the flow of the fund balance for which that you can do things like that. When we were dangerously low years ago, there's no way that we necessarily would have been able to float the money necessary to do some of these bigger grants and still be able, it was just too dangerous. And that's the direction that we were headed, and it made me nervous. So this makes me feel better.
So in this phase, based upon periodic invoices and then reimbursement, we shouldn't be out at any time more than what, 50 or 75,000 at a
if you recall, Carrie's email, because she has already submitted some. She's
there was an attachment.
It was within, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. EPA is quicker with the
so it's a 60-day replenishment and turnaround or better.
Yeah.
Okay. Then all right.
Give or take a week or two.
Now, the project plan that's here, that's just for this work with the consultant. The last item here is to then, they're gonna handle creating the bid spec, the design. And then it goes up until the award of the project. So we're gonna go out to bid, and then contractors who actually would do the work would bid on the project.
So the road closing, or what part of the road, or how much of the road is being closed, it's not something that we're dealing with in the near future. Okay.
No. No,
And it's something that we can work out, I would assume, over the course of working with the
I'm sure
contractor.
there'll be some recommendations.
yeah, that'll be part of the, obviously, when they put together their bid, their proposal. They'll have to have numbers in there to show us what that, there might be right.
We
Yeah.
want our neighborhoods to be safe.
So once this component is done, the balance, which is talking about million one in that range, it's gonna be the same protocol as far as gonna be.
It'll be the same,
periodic,
yeah.
same kind of thing. It's gonna be higher numbers because it's like
Right.
a million plus as opposed to 400, but same thing, we're gonna be sending out.
Whoever the contractor is.
Periodic invoices, now will have the same reimbursement timetable we anticipate. Even.
That's you.
Again,
That's
Ms. Kim is nodding in affirmation.
Yeah, so that's how usually these projects work.
Yes.
You have a 6-month project, let's say. You don't get invoiced up front, you don't get invoiced at the end. The contractors want to get paid as they're completing parts of the job.
We want to make sure
Yeah.
they finish the job.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
What was usual at some point in time may not be usual now, so I'm just.
Yeah.
keeping it updated as to usual.
Right. So that's where we are. That's and we're hoping to have a kickoff meeting next week with DOT.
I move that we accept the proposal from Tectonic as consulting engineering firm for the Oskalita Road Culvert Project.
I'll second.
Just brief discussion with the input that was about road closures and stuff that's gonna be dealt with.
Yeah, we're
Post retention of a contract.
right. Yeah, so we're not gonna make that decision here. We're gonna present to as part of the bid spec. It should be in the bid spec in terms of, yeah.
Will be.
And then we'll and then we'll make a decision based on that.
That's part of the
I'm hearing that
process.
it should remain open, so
Right.
probably have a light on each side, red, green, it's single lane.
Just
That's usually what they do.
what the people were talking about, that's gonna be incorporated in the process as we
Right.
go forward. That's
Yep.
Okay.
We have a first and a second.
Discussion,
Roll
further
call.
discussion.
Yes.
Oh, we're awarding that, right?
Yeah. Okay, Dan,
Hi.
Andrea,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Dan, Rich.
Jim,
sorry.
Bob, hi.
Tony, aye. Okay. All right, so that's that. Next, you're welcome. All right, have a good night. Next is a resolution approving the renewal of license for AAA carting and rubbish removal to collect and dispose of refuse and recyclables.
So move.
Okay,
Discussion?
wait, we need
Wait, no,
a.
second, no second. Discussion?
Sorry.
Move.
I
Rich
second.
move, Tony second, and I'll ask my traditional question of the insurance being up to date.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we have another one here, approval renewal of license for Interstate Waste Services of Connecticut LLC / Oak Ridge Hauling LLC. They're one and the same, I'm assuming, right?
Oak Ridge.
Interstate
It's-
and,
You're now in state waste.
Okay.
So go by.
got it.
They haven't changed the name on the side of the truck.
Still moved.
Yeah.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Hi.
Okay,
Are you guys voting in favor of that?
Aye.
okay, so next we have public comment number 2 for new business only. Would anyone here like to speak? For new business only? No? Okay, how about on Zoom?
Yes, we do. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
It's new business.
Yes, it's new business. I think what I'd like to say is, after listening to the entire meeting, new business included, I feel that when a group of people come and try and bully people at a meeting, it is uncalled for in our little town. And I'm really disappointed in what went down tonight. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, I don't care what you are, independent or whatever Dan is. I think at this point, we should all be civil to each other, and coming here with 50 people to back up something, to push people to do something is not right. When Andrea explained why she recused herself, she explained it at the last meeting that she needed to. She explained it again at this meeting. And it was you, Mary, who tried to strong arm her into disregarding.
Well, do you have a new business name? You
Yeah,
want-
this is new business
No, this
because
is not
this
that.
happened this evening.
No.
I'm very sorry, Tony. This is new business. You want me to talk about the Eagle Scout project? That was fabulous.
Okay,
I love the
great.
kids. Yes, that was great. I'm disappointed. We have a board of 5 people. One is a Republican. We need a more balanced board. That's what I'd like to say. So really, when people vote in November, really read the names. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Anybody else?
Thank you, Simone. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
How is that?
Very good.
Thank you, Janet. I just want to thank Alex, the scout that was there this evening. I know he left. Sounds like a wonderful project. I just think I'm a huge history buff, and strangely enough, I love cemeteries. I think they're a treasure trove of information. So I think his project is wonderful. I'm going to reach out to both John Lemke and I believe his scoutmaster is Rich Healy to see if I can post something on the Facebook page that I help run to get some funds for him, because these scouts put out so much of their own money. Also, I know it's not new business, but it's a good thing.
New
I
business
just,
time, please.
okay, I want to thank John Winter, the highway superintendent. A couple of weeks ago, after one of those quick moving storms, we had a pole across the street from us, actually a tree, I'm sorry, that was leaning on a pole, and within 20 minutes was pulling all the wires over the street. And I reached out to John, which I hated to do. It was the weekend. But he got NYSEG there within an hour at night to take the entire tree down, so that the wires weren't pulled down and the whole area wasn't in darkness. And the next day, he either got NYSEG or it may have even been our own highway department to come out and pick up all the logs that were on the hill, because they all rolled then onto the road, causing a hazard. So he's a great guy, and he's really doing a great job. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Barbara.
Second.
You're here.
And we're set.
Okay, great. Next, we have approval of claims. So I'd like to go ahead and motion that we approve claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Polling of the board. We'll start with Mary.
I agree with Simone on the request for civility.
Is it?
Thank you.
Yeah, the world is in an awful spot right now, and at work, I constantly request compassion and grace of everybody for one another and for themselves as well. And so I guess I'll just do it here too.
Thank you. Okay, Andrea.
I think I said enough tonight. I'm good.
Okay, Dan?
No.
Rich?
Stay cool this week.
What's that?
Stay
Stay
cool.
cool.
this
Oh, stay cool. If this is stakeholders week.
Sounds like a race. All of Belmont.
Yeah. Okay, I have one thing, which is it's a little bit overdue. So we upgraded our payroll system to paychecks from ADP. And we're about a month and a half into it, right? And I just want to say that it was a success, the transition. And I'd like to thank Annie again for the job well done in making this transition happen flawlessly. So thank you very much, Annie. And we have a system now that's more efficient. There's less effort in processing payroll now. And soon we're gonna have time and attendance, right? That's forthcoming, which is a better, more efficient way of keeping track of employees' time and attendance. Exactly. Right. So thank you, Eddie, for taking on this effort, and job well done. So Thanks, okay. And that's all I have.
Except for.
Except for announcements. So next we have town board meeting next Monday, August 11th at 7:30 PM here at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem. So now we're going to go into motion. I'm going to motion. I'd like to motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issue, as well as real estate. I think that's it.
Real estate, and I have a contract.
And yeah, so attorney-client privilege. Yeah.
Just want to mention the Fireman's Carnival.
Oh, the Fireman's Carnival, of course, August 6th, the Fireman's Carnival, South Salem Fire Department.
Come on down, parade
Come on
on the
down.
6th, ends on the 9th.
Yeah, 6th through the 9th, that's right. Okay,
One of my
forget that,
favorite
thanks.
events every summer.
All right, great. Well, thank you all very much for coming out tonight, everyone here.